Now, the reason I just want to focus on one tool today is you got to get used to this tool. So right here, right there is your pin tool. You don't want any of these with these extra things on them, okay? You just want the pin tool. Now, here's kind of the thing with the pin tool. When you're using the pin tool, there's two hotkeys you're going to want to get used to. On a Mac, it's going to be Command and Option. And on the Windows, it's Control and Alt, okay? Which is just true of any time you're using Command and Option, it's Control and Alt on Windows. What that allows me to do is while I'm using the pin tool, not exit the pin tool and go to, because one of the tools we're going to be accessing is our white arrow tool, this one right here, which you talked about yesterday, which allows us to manipulate an individual point on a path, okay? And the other one we're going to be accessing that's going to allow us to access it is in our pin tool right here. This one right here says convert anchor point, which is just a corner point, okay? So without having to leave, I don't want to keep going to those tools and changing. So I use the Alt and Control key, or Alt and a Command key. Alt and Control key on Windows, Command Option on Mac, okay? So if I make a straight line, I click, and I make a straight line. That's easy, okay? If I am making a curve, here's the trick. You have to anticipate the curve. So I'm going to go here and then click here and hold and drag. And that's how I'm going to make my curves. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, if I want to manipulate this now, I want to hold, that's if I'm holding Command, I get my white arrow tool. Okay? Now these points are dark. That means they've been selected. I don't want them selected. So if I just go over the line, if I just loop over the line or just touch the line, if you notice it activates the path, but these aren't selected yet, which is what I want. Okay, so that means I can get my, now look, when I use the handle, it's affecting this side and this side. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so sometimes I don't want it to do that. So then what I do is I go to my, what do you call it? Option key, and now it only affects one side. So when you're in the pin tool, the Command or Control key is going to give you your white arrow tool. Your Option or Alt key is going to give you your corner point tool. Okay, this takes a little getting used to, and then it'll become totally intuitive. Now, here's the other thing, is people think when they have this path closed like that, oh, I've got a selection. So if I go to tell this thing to fill, let's get a red color. It's just going to fill everything. It's not a selection, okay? Here's how you get a selection. If you remember, our paths or our palettes for our tools, so in this case, the pin tool lives right here under paths, okay? Not pin, under paths, okay? Because this just created a path. So I have my path palette right there in my well right here. And here it is. And it says work path because that's considered a work path. And there's my little path, okay? You're going to find some, this is another thing. Let me show you this real quick. You're going to find that when I have a shape on a path, on a layer, so let's grab this and go Command C, Command V. So now I have this shape on its own layer right here, right there, okay? Right there. If I want to select that, this little thumbnail, I can go Command or Control and I click the thumbnail and it'll activate that selection. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It'll activate that selection. Okay, so it's on the thumbnail. You Command or Control click the thumbnail, not the bar. If I click the bar, It doesn't do anything. If I click this, it's gonna wanna, have me add a word in there, okay? I have to click this thumbnail, command click it, okay? That's just a good thing to
Mike,
know. Yeah, go ahead.
showing that one more time, please.
So I have a shape on a layer. It has to be a shape on a layer. It can't be a background layer and all that where it's flat. If I have a shape like that on a layer, if I command or control click the thumbnail, it will activate the shape. Does that make sense? Okay, so that trick is going to work in, like I told you, some of the windows or palettes that you'll look at will look just like the layers palette. And if you look at the paths palette, let's go back to this one. If you look at the paths palette, it sort of looks like the window or the layers palette, okay? And I can do the, okay, so when I want to make this into a selection, right now it's just a path, I do the exact same move. I just command click or control click the thumbnail and it turns into a thing. Now, if I fill it, it will fill that shape. Does that make sense? We're going to make a nice clean selection of this building. I don't care about like this tree right here. Don't try and get all that stuff. That's not how you do this, okay? I really don't even care about this light. You can just go in and get this whole building and that's be fine. But here's how you would anticipate some of this pin tooling, okay? And sometimes, by the way, I'm pulling a handle out and I have to shrink the window to get the handle to pull out far enough, just so you know. So here's what I have to determine first off, and this just is experience. I'm going to grab my pen tool and I'm going to go, can I make this whole curve in one move? And I'm not that close. I would normally get much closer. But I'm going to start right here. And then I'm going to go all the way to the end. And then let's see how close we are. I bet you we're not close at all. It's not terrible. See right there? It's not good. My end point's not good. So I could come in here and grab my white arrow tool.
Quick question.
Uh-huh.
How do you switch up the foreground color swatches again?
This right here, this little arrow right there, see it? Where my cursor is? So I can do that. You see it?
Yeah, I see that.
Or you can just go X. Okay, so this. Okay, so now you see my path disappeared. So I got to go here. Oh, it did disappear. I deleted it. Oh, well. Let's do that again. Here. Now, I might go, I'm not going to make it all one pass. So I'm going to do the first pass right there. And then I'll do the second pass here. And then again, I've got this gap right here. So now I could go with my white arrow tool. I'm going to stay in my pen tool. I'm going to go, I'm going to hold command, and I'm going to grab this little point here. I could bring that down. I'm going to click off of this to deactivate this right here. And then grab it. And now I start tweaking this sneak. You look at this one now. I'm going to go to my white arrow tool. There's my, and you want to make sure you're not getting kinks in this or any of that kind of stuff. Okay, then I can come back over here and I can re-grab this, hover over it. And what I want you to look out for, here's what people do. They go up here, then they just make a hard point like that. That's not what that edge is. That edge has a little bit of a curve to it. So I'm going to really zoom in on it. I don't know why it's making all this. And then I'm going to grab this, and then I'm going to make that curve, and then move on. You want to get a really nice making all these weird things. And then how far can I go? Maybe I can go all the way to here. Then again, what's this edge look like? Oh, Donald, what do you need? Okay, look at that. See how it kicked out too far? Hang on, Donald, I'll get you in a second. Now I need to go in here. I don't know why I'm getting all this weird sound. I got to get out here. Look, I'm using command minus. Okay, then we go back to my pen tool, back to command, and I'm going to pull this back in where it belongs and see how it's adjusting that other side. So I'd have to fix all that. Once you get the hang of it, it's not that big a deal. Then maybe I'll use this tool or this handle and start to fix that. Does that make sense? And we're going to go through the whole thing.
I was wondering though, you're moving between your command and control, or in my case, control alt, a lot. Could you show me what you're, or explain which you're using when?
I'm using, so let's make a curve. Let's go back here. And if I want to tweak these, I'm using command to get my white arrow tool so I can go on a direct selection, or I can move these where it affects both sides of that curve. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, or if I don't want to affect both sides of the curve, I want a corner point, then I hold Option or Alt and I go, and you get that little corner tool, look, thing. And now it only affects that. Doesn't affect both sides. That's it.
That's what alt. Okay.
And now here's another thing you guys got to remember. You might come in here and go, like, see how this has got this one selected. You might not want any of them selected yet. You can either loop over it like that, and it'll just give them all empty. But I can also loop over this section. It'll give me the handles for that area. Or I can loop over this section. It'll give me the handle for that area. Or I can just touch the line, and, or I could touch it here, and it'll give me these handles wherever I need the handles. Okay, just so you know. So sometimes you got to, this one is in a closed shape. And then sometimes if I just want to deselect all of them, I can just use that white arrow tool and click on the board, and then it'll just deactivate everything. And then if I click it, it'll just deactivate everything, but nothing's selected. And then I can come in here and start deciding what I want to use. That makes sense?
Much more sense. Thank you.
Can you go over the part where, just in this situation, how did you do the fill section for the line you just drew with the pen tool?
How did I fill it?
With
So I have to make a selection, which means I have to command click the thumbnail, the control click the thumbnail.
Oh, okay.
Image right there. That will activate the work path. Okay.
Ah, got it.
If you don't do that, it's not a path, or it's not a selection. It's a path.
Got you.
And they're different things. But if I want to fill it, I just go up to edit, fill, and I just have it on foreground color, and then it's going to fill it with that foreground splotch. If I put it on background color, it would do that.
Can you use the bucket tool as well, or
Yeah.
do you have? Okay.
Use the bucket.
Okay. And my other
But
question
the hotkey for that is either command delete. I think it's option delete or control or command delete. And that one does a foreground, one does a background. I think option does the foreground.
Got you. And I also have another question.
What's up?
You know, you have your path palette on the right side. So if you make multiple pen, let's just say you wanted to make like 3 different shapes of the pen tool. Will the pen when you draw 3 different shapes, will it register just only one, or those 3 shapes?
No, it was. So here's my path. And let's just close this so it's a different idea. I'm going to close I don't know if you even have to. Okay, so I'm going to make another path. And you can see it made another shape over here. You see it?
Oh, so it sticks with one. Okay.
But
So it doesn't create multiple.
You should also be able to do this. Well, I'm going to go click this, just like making a new layer.
Oh,
And now
yeah,
it's
so that's what, yeah, okay, got
now
you.
they're
Okay,
separate. So
okay.
now if I select that, I could select that one, or I could select this one.
Um,
And by the way,
okay.
to activate them, I just got to click the layer,
Or control select on the thumbnail.
but you could just click the path right here and it'll activate the path. And then I could just click the command, click the thumbnail and it'll
Got you.
activate it.
Okay, okay, that
So we can make
answers a
multiple
lot. Thank
paths,
you.
you know, and then
Okay,
as
got you.
usual, there's a fly out menu on all these things, which we'll get more into those things later. Okay, who have
All
the
right.
question? So we're going to pretend that I did this. I went all the way around this. And I would go here to my work path. I would command click it and activate it. Okay. So let's pretend. So let's pretend that this was my selection. So let's go. You're going to end up with that once you activate your path. Does everybody follow me there so far? I created a path, went to path palette, and command click the thumbnail, and I get this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Now, we don't want to eliminate, then also make sure you unlock the layer. Otherwise, you're just going to have whatever color the background color is. So make sure you unlock that layer as soon as you open the file. Okay. Okay, so I activated my pen path, my working path, and I get this. But we don't want to eliminate this. So I'm going to go delete. And that's what we'd be eliminating. I don't want to eliminate that. I want to eliminate the sky. So up here under select, remember this, we're talking about a selection. So we go to select under our menu. And I'm going to go to inverse. There's the hotkey right there. What is it? Shift Command I. I'm going to go inverse. It inverted the selection. And now I can click that and get rid of the sky. And here's what I always do when I make a selection like this. I go right here to my swatches. I go right here to my grayscale folder and I select like a mid-value gray. I make a new layer. I put it behind it. I'm going to edit this video today, so don't worry about it. And then I'm going to go edit, fill, make sure it's on foreground color and hit OK. And why I do that is to make sure I don't have a lot of fringing and stuff here. I don't have a really crappy, ugly selection. Like right there. Okay. I didn't get that finished out. That's all right for now. Because then I can take it and I could do, you know, whatever I want to do with it. Here's another little thing. When I'm going to drop a file into another file, I tend to just do this. You can see all these are docked into the thing. I pull it out of the dock. So it's out of the dock. Then I go back to my original thing. And I grab my move tool right here, which by the way, you can just hit Command V. And it'll do that. And then drag it into this building or into this file. And now I could change the background. That makes sense?
Yes.
So all we're doing is just going to throw a different sky behind it. Okay. We want to make a selection. Now, again, I might go in here and tweak I don't expect you guys to do this, but later on, I'd probably come in here and tweak the lighting just a hair because there's so much blue in that sky that I'd probably go, there's going to be a little bit of blue in this building. There is a little bit here. If you notice, that's an up-facing plane. It's picking up some of the blue from the sky anyway. So is this a little bit. So is that. So that might be enough. So is here. There's quite a bit of cool in it. And it is going to pick up warmth from the sun. So it's fine. It's probably fine. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's all we're doing. That's it.